That metal bad guy you see in the middle of the screen is approximately 300 yards away, and I was able to measure that from 300, 400, and 500 yards today pretty easily thanks to this device right here, the new Monarch 7i VR from Nikon. Let me tell you all about it. If you do long-range shooting, hunting, anything like that, you've probably gotten into some sort of a rangefinder by now. If you haven't, you're probably looking for one, and you're probably marveling at how expensive the nicer ones are. And yeah, there are some pretty cheap ones out there. I've gotten into a couple that are in the $100 to $150 range, and they operate kind of like something in the $100 to $150 range. They're clunky, they're slow. Getting a good solid reading at anything past 150, 200 yards is a struggle. There's no sort of vibration reduction, no stabilization present in that rangefinder, and so you find yourself locking it into, you know, your car door or a tree, or even in some cases I've even modified an old one, drilled a little hole in it, put a little tripod receiver screw, and mounted that sucker to a tripod, and that was the only way I could get decent readings out to 400 and beyond. But then you've got this big old tripod you're stuck with carrying around, so it certainly is not ideal. What we really need on the market is something that reduces those vibrations, helps us get a fast reading at long ranges and stably, or with good stability. And that's what we get here on the Monarch 7i VR from Nikon. I will tell you that Nikon did send this to me to try out, and this is definitely in the upper range price-wise and quality-wise of rangefinders. Like I said before, there's some in the $100-200 range, but you've probably seen that a lot of them are several $100s, maybe a few $100s for a decent rangefinder, and you get what you pay for with rangefinders. One of the things that you really want to look for, though, is something that's fairly light, fairly small. I'll give you the actual the weight on this particular thing on screen right now. And you want something that's easy to carry and that also does a really good job quickly. And I found that the Nikon Monarch 7i VR does that. But one of the really cool things about it, probably the feature on here that makes it the most interesting and makes it stand out the most against other high-end rangefinders, which again, many of them are also good, is that vibration reduction feature, or that stabilization feature that it has. You're able to just kind of home in on it and get that reading that you need without all the shake. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this in front of the camera now. I'm going to try to duplicate exactly what I see so that you can see exactly the kind of vibration reduction that this thing offers. Okay, so it's quite difficult to get the camera to see exactly what I'm seeing, to focus the way I can focus. But there's our target out there. The rangefinder has a zoom of 4x. It also has a focus feature on the in the rear aperture. So you're able to kind of zoom in and get as close as you need to and as focused as you need to on the target. So what I'm going to try to do is press this little button here to give you the readout. Now granted, it's going to be difficult for you to see everything, but I think that you can see how that is creating a vibration reduction. I'll press and hold that button down. Moving past it and next to it, 299.8. Right on the target, as you saw. Try to do that one more time. Pressing and holding down on the button. Right on at 299.8. Getting above it, next to it, and we're spot on. Now, as you can tell, it's difficult for me to demonstrate effectively through the camera and for you to see through the lens what I see as I put my eye right up to it. The different lenses and the camera just don't work that well together. However, I think you got a pretty clear picture of how that readout works and how that gets onto your target and how that stabilizes pretty nicely. This does have multiple modes, so it was in yardage just then. You can switch that to meters, you can switch that to whatever you need it to be for your particular use. But a couple more details on it. This is a waterproof rangefinder, it says so right there. I said before that this was a 4x magnification. It's not 4x, it's actually 6x by 21 millimeters on the objective right there. The interface is extremely intuitive. This is the power button, so you push that once to turn it on. Then you press and hold to get it to home in on and range your subject. At that point, you just let it go. It turns itself off after a few seconds. It's extremely intuitive in that way. There's no way that you're gonna kill the battery accidentally, which is also a very nice thing. Speaking of the battery, here's the battery compartment on the bottom. Feels like it's O-ring sealed to keep moisture out. As we open that up, you can see that what we have there on the inside, as I lose my cap, is a single CR2 battery, and that's what it runs on. You can see a little lanyard attachment point right there. I'll also note that it does come with a nice little pouch, little belt loop on it, right there, and a little loop as well for attaching that to a carabiner, hooking it onto whatever backpack or other gear you've got. Fits nicely into the pouch, which protects it from dust, additional moisture, etc. Little bungee loop right there to get quick access to it. No button to mess with, no Velcro, nothing like that. So it's very silent as you're trying to get access to it, and it's also perfectly secure. Out there. This would be a good opportunity to probably range something moving. Let's try that. So I'm trying to get set up to take some shots, get 0 to 200 yards. Thought this would be a good opportunity to try to range something that's on the move. They should be just over 300 yards. Let's see if I can confirm that. So I got one of those girls at 390 yards. The other one has moved past some brush, so I can't see her. However, they're moving their heads up and down. They're walking around as they're going. And that was pretty easy to track them and to stay on target with this thing. So not only stationary targets, but for hunting purposes, obviously you're looking at targets that are walking around. Very effective as well. Really easy to kind of hold it and track, and then it horizontally holds the same plane as you're tracking and measuring that distance at the same time. Doing a really good job. I like it. Now, I've used the Nikon 7i VR on a couple different trips so far, using it today for some longer range stuff. Again, 300 yards is what I'm zeroing it at right now, but that's actually not going to be my end goal for the rifle that I'm shooting. I'm actually trying to get out to 500 today. We'll see how that goes, and I'll let you know in annotation. But this is going to work at 500, probably well beyond that for ranging your targets and for getting that nice stability that you need. The Nikon 7i VR, again, not a cheap rangefinder by any stretch of the imagination, but what it offers makes it well worth it. I'm Malay Boy Scout. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.